Hello, I'm Andrea Wenger, and I am Director of Advancement for Eastern Mennonite School. I'm very happy to be hosting this Zoom gathering today, where we have three of us here from Harrisonburg, as well as our alumni award winners that we're going to be recognizing all the way from New Brunswick, Canada. So we would normally be anticipating gathering for homecoming October 16 to 18. In lieu of that, we're doing a number of virtual activities, and this is one of them where we have an opportunity to recognize Keith and Ellen Helmuth. And joining us today to start that off is Caitlin Tice. Caitlin is a graduate of the class of 2005, and she serves as our alumni board chair, and she's going to be presenting a gift in honor of our Lifetime Service Award.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Keith and Ellen, for joining us today. I am really happy to present a gift that represents the service that you guys have shared with others throughout your lives. Herb Weaver, class of 75, has made a pitcher and bowl for the Lifetime Service Award recipients for about the past 10 years. And Trisha is holding that up right now.
If you can see that, there's the pitcher and then there's a bowl that goes with it as well.
Herb says that he makes pottery at a more peaceful pace now. He thinks about who he's making it for and why he's making it. And it seems to be more meaningful and purposeful for him. And he hopes it's more meaningful for the recipients as well. We will ship your gifts to you and hope you'll accept them as a symbol of the gratitude the EMS community has for the gifts that you have shared in your lifetime of service. Keith and Ellen, congratulations.
Thank you so much. That appears to me to be a very beautiful piece of creative work, and that's going to represent a special recognition of the talents that have come from the school and the faith community that supports all those activities. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. We're so pleased to offer that to you, and it's pretty large. Maybe you can't see when I'm holding it up to the screen, but it's a good size. Okay, well, we'd like to take a few minutes now just to get to know you better and hear a little bit about your life journey and your experience at Eastern Mennonite School. So I want to thank Andrea and Caitlin for joining us to this point. And if it's okay, I'd just like to ask you a few questions for you to just share with our school community. I think they'd enjoy hearing from you.
I'm going to hop in here and suggest, Trisha, that you tell us your name and role at the school.
Oh, right, of course. So my name is Trisha Blosser. I work in development here at Eastern Mennonite School, so that means I get to work with supporters and alumni. I'm also a graduate from 1995. I think actually everyone on this call is alumni, and we have 3 that would have had reunions this year, graduating in years that ended in 5. So that's who I am. Thank you. So our first question, and I believe you graduated in the 50s, is just thinking back to your time here at the school, what life was like. I know for me, starting here, I was amazed at how many things stayed the same and then also how many things changed. So I think we'd enjoy hearing from you what your experience was like here when you were students.
Well, life at high school, I think, is always a special time for anyone, and certainly life when we were students in the 50s was on a small scale. Our class had only about 55 people. I would say as classmates we were very close because we got to know each other very well, and certainly in the topmost category of importance at a school are the teachers. And EMS had some terrific teachers. That's certainly at the top of my memory list. One of the other things that I really treasure was the ability to walk to and from classes every day. And of course, along the way, you met your friends and you met classmates. And that was part of the relationship building in high school. I also remember there was a huge parking lot to the east of the chapel that was entirely made of concrete. And us kids would take roller skates that clipped onto the bottom of your shoe, and we would tighten up the strap on those gripper roller skates. We got out on that cement pad and we would just skate and skate and skate. And there were a lot of us. And we just flew from one block to the end of the other block. And it was wonderful fun. I remember climbing the steps to the admin building. There were steep steps. And I also remember going out to that box of a gym where we played basketball. And we went out there and stood in the sides of that gym and watched the basketball games. Those were memorable times. I remember the walks around campus and sitting on the edge of the fish pond. Lots of memories of times like that. I think one really important memory for me is the choral singing and the experience of that singing in 4-part harmony, that joining of voices and an a cappella carrying the melody. You had to have it right because your voice was blended with all the others, and learning all those cantatas and the hymns. That is a memory that has stayed with me over these 65 years. I really, really appreciated that experience of 4-part singing. And we had chapel every morning. And I think that's symbolic of the faith, of the support and learning and education on the part of the faith community that provided us with values that lasted throughout our life. The values that you work for have come from where you went to school. They have come from your faith community. And you don't set out to purposely work on those values, but they form your way of doing things. They form how you live your life. As Quakers, we have the saying, you live your life, your testimonies are the way you live your life.
There's one more thing, Ellen, that we talked about earlier, the story about what the farm market meant to many women who came into the market. You want to talk a little bit about that? Such an important part of the farm market development.
That was really interesting to see women really become empowered with their skills and their creativity. They brought in their best made pies and biscuits. They took yarn and made them into hats and mitts and socks and blankets and proudly put them out on tables for the public to see. And it was really, really wonderful to see how that empowered women in a culture that had been used to, oh, my wife's not going out to work. I'm the breadwinner of the family. And so there were many kinds of cultural things that took place in the market scene like that that were really satisfying to see.
Now, it was a kind of an interesting progressive change where many women who'd never done anything like this before were earning money, and their husbands would say, well, that's something else. So that's a part of the farm market story, which was really interesting to watch happen. So important, and it's so encouraging to see the kind of worldwide movement of young people to rise up and really have a voice to speak to the leaders of the nations of the world to try to get really good action on climate change. Not everyone can do what Greta Thunberg has done, but everybody can do something in this field. And I think the really important thing is to feel as though you have a calling, whatever that calling is, to follow it up and to be really committed to trying to be a better ancestor. This is a term that's come around recently, but if you think about your life and you live your life, then you leave descendants and they'll look back on you. So try to think what you can do so you will be a good ancestor. That's sort of the best things I can think of right now.
Okay, I like that idea. We could all be good ancestors, and to start thinking about that when you're even 15 would certainly have an impact, I would think, on how we live our lives. Okay, one last quick question just in closing. Any words of encouragement or hope you have? It was exciting to hear you talk about young people and as they find their voice and ways to speak to the leaders of the nations, as you said, but are there other words of encouragement or hope that you have that you would like to pass on?
Well, I find myself noticing articles in magazines and news stories about some very creative things that youth are doing in this climate change environment. And I'm thinking, gee, I wouldn't have thought of that. But good for them. That's really terrific. And so I find that really hopeful that young people maybe don't necessarily feel they have to follow all the admonishments of us older folks, but they've got some creative ideas of their own and they're running with them and they're doing really exciting and creative things with them. And I just find that really, really encouraging and hopeful. So keep it up.
Well, thank you. That certainly is encouraging. Hopefully will give us all hope and just a nice tie-in with some of the school initiatives in terms of creation care and how we can have a positive impact on the environment. So thank you. Well, I want to thank you both for sharing. It was so wonderful to hear about your story, where you started here at the school, your journey and where you are now, and the legacy you'll leave as you think about being ancestors too. Caitlin, thank you too for joining us. It's always good to have you as part of our alumni board. We're just grateful for all our alumni and all they do. And again, want to thank you all for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.